Okay, here are your notes for your foldable on rotations. So make sure you have your colored pencils. This is all rotations. So remember that rotations are also a rigid motion. So remember, a rigid motion preserves the size, shape, lengths, and angles. So that means all of those are going to stay the exact same size. It's just going to be spinning something around. So we have a picture on this side here. We have a diagram that shows that triangle ABC is being rotated 100 degrees counterclockwise. Remember, counterclockwise is the opposite way of a clock, so it's going around this way, about point P. So that means it's being held down at point P, and this triangle is being basically swung this way 100 degrees. So remember, any point on this image are the exact same distance from the center of rotation. So that means that if I were to measure how long it is from P to A, it would be equal to P to A prime. So those two pieces would be exactly equal. And you could even do that to other points also. So I could measure from P to B, and that's going to be the exact same length as it would be from P to B prime. And you could also do that with C. So every single point is going to be the same distance away. So we have a picture over here. Rotations can be clockwise, and we're going to abbreviate that CW, or counterclockwise, and that is CCW. But the default is counterclockwise. This means that if they don't say it, so if they don't say it, it is understood to be counterclockwise. So if I just say a rotation of 90 degrees and I don't tell you which way, then you're going to go counterclockwise. Okay, so we do have some rules here in this box. Let me get some more colors here. Make sure you have lots of colors in your colored pencils. Here's a green one. So here are some rules that some people like to memorize the rules, but as I talked about, I'm going to prefer to do the Ferris wheel instead. So memorizing these rules out of context, a lot of times people don't do so good with your memory. I'm going to hide this little bar here. Okay, so instead we're going to do the Ferris wheel. So this is the method I'm going to talk about because it's easy to remember. Okay, so I'm going to do the Ferris wheel. So remember, you're at the top of the Ferris wheel. You always start on the top every single time. Think of yourself on the top of a Ferris wheel. And you're going to perform whatever given rotation they tell you, and then you're going to decide where you end up. So this is very important. It's where you're going to end up. So if I look at my Ferris wheels at the bottom, if I were to do some kind of rotation and from the top, and I would end up on the right hand side, if I end on the right, then I do the switcheroo, which is basically trading places. So switcheroo is going to be trading places, and then I negate the right coordinates. Negate means I'm going to change it from plus to minus or minus to plus. If I were to end at the bottom, like down here, I'm just going to negate both. So that means I'm going to change the plus to a minus of the first one and change the plus to a minus, or vice versa. Because if it was a negative, I'm going to change it to a positive. If it was a positive, I'm going to change it to a negative. Last one, if I were to end up on the left, end up on the left. Remember, it's wherever you end. You're going to do the switcheroo, which means you're going to trade places, and then you're going to negate the left. So whatever term is on the left-hand side, you're going to change it from negative to positive or positive to negative. So this is basically the opposite, right? These are both opposite, opposite. And this is opposite. Okay. All right, so let's go to the inside of the foldable. Okay, it says which of the following transformations will not map a square onto itself? Which will not? So let's go ahead and circle not. That's important, right? So when we talk about mapping it, this is basically land on itself. So mapping it is landing on itself. So I'm going to go ahead and get a piece of patty paper, and I'm going to actually do each of these. So I'm going to put a piece of patty paper over this, and I'm going to trace it. So I'm going to put point C here, and I'm going to label. So I've got F up here, and G, and H, and E. Okay, so I have him labeled. Oops, I should call him C in the middle. So get your piece of patty paper and trace. Okay, so we're going to do, the first one is, let's check each one, because remember, it says which of the following transformations. So that means I need to check them all. So check all. Okay, I'm going to check the first one. So the first one says a rotation of 180 degrees about C. So that means you're going to stab it at C. Stab at C. So that means I'm going to put my paper down. I'm going to stab it at C. So that means I'm holding it down at C. See me holding it down? Okay, I'm holding it down at C. And I'm going to do 180 degrees. Now 180 degrees is halfway around. So that means my F up at the top is going to be going down to the bottom. So I'm going to rotate, and it doesn't say which way, so I'm going counterclockwise. I'm going to rotate so the F gets down to the bottom. And the question is, after I do that, does the shape land exactly back on itself? And it sure does. The shape matches up. The points don't matter, but the shape is exactly the same. So this one is going to be, this one does work. But remember, this is a not. So this one works. So I'm going to put a little check mark here because it works, right? So that means that this is, since it works, that means I'm going to cross it off because this is a not. All right, so next one. The next one says a rotation of 180 degrees about E. Okay, so let's put that on here. If it's about E, that means I'm stabbing it at E. So let's get to E. Stab it at E. Boom. Okay, we're stabbed at E. We need to go 180 degrees. So that means halfway around. So that means I'm taking this, spinning it halfway around. So basically that G over there is going to come all the way over to the other side. So halfway around. See how I'm holding it down at E? And I went halfway around. Now the question is, does my little square land on my little square anymore? The answer is no, it does not. Correct? So this one does not work. This one does not work, right? It does not land on itself. And since this is a not, this one is a winner, winner, chicken dinner so far. Okay, let's try the next one. What does CW stand for? CW is clockwise, rotation 90 degrees about C. So let's put that back on here. Let's hold it on C. Okay, I'm going to hold it on C. I'm going to go 90 degrees, which means my F up on the top is going to have to come over to the G spot. That's clockwise, the way the clock goes. So you see how F is going to go like a clock, 90 degrees. Scooting over here, 90 degrees, 90 degrees, 90 degrees. Boom. There he is. Does he land on himself? Yes. So this one works, right? This one works. Which means since this is a not, this one is out. Boom. Now, if you're having trouble with the 90 degrees, what you could do is you could kind of make a fake axis here. And that way you can see, like 1 click is 90 degrees, 2 clicks is 180, and 3 clicks would be 270, and then all the way around would be 360. So you could make the fake axis if it's hard to look on the picture, especially if the picture is like a weird, like 5-sided figure or something. Okay, let's check the next one. Counterclockwise, rotation of 45 degrees. 45 is half of 90, so it's like you're going to half a click, right? Okay, so let's put this on here. It's a rotation about C, so that means I'm stabbing it at C, holding it at C, counterclockwise. That means that the F is going backwards like this. Now, remember 90 would be if this F comes all the way over to E, but we only want to go halfway that far. So I'm going to go halfway. That's like halfway, right? Are my squares lining up on top of each other? No, they do not match. You can see that guy underneath there. It does not line up with this guy. So this is a does not work. This one does not work. And so that means we are checking it. This one's good. The last one, a rotation of 360 about E. So that means I'm going to put it on here. 360 is all the way around. So I'm going to hold it at E, and I'm going to spin it all the way around, 360 degrees, which means basically this G over here is going to go all the way around and land back where he started. So I'm holding it down. See how G is going to go all the way around. It doesn't tell me which direction to go, so it's understood counterclockwise, but it wouldn't matter anyways because I'm going all the way around. All the way around, all the way around, all the way around, boom. Does it land back on itself? Absolutely. Actually, a rotation of 360 degrees is going to always land back on itself. So this one works, right? But since it's a not, I'm going to X it out. So we have 2 solutions that work, and that is B and D. Okay, we're going to save number 2 and do that one last. Let's do number 3 down here. All right, number 3, it says, draw the image of a figure under the given rotation. So remember, the image is the second one. This is the after, right? So we want to draw the after under the given rotation about the origin. Origin's important because that means we can use our rules, easy peasy lemon squeezy, right? Then determine the image of B. So image of B is the after of B. And what do we call the after of B? We call him B prime, right? So really they're asking, what is B prime? This right here is what they're asking for, right? Even though they say B right here, they say image of B, so they mean B prime. Okay, so let's take a look at this. It looks like we need a counterclockwise 270. Counterclockwise 270. Okay, so let's think about our, this is around the origin, so we can make our little, think about our Ferris wheel. So our Ferris wheel, remember we always start at the top of our Ferris wheel. Now we're going to go counterclockwise 270. 270 is 3/4 of the way. Counterclockwise is backwards, so that's going to be 1 click, that's 90, 2 clicks, that's 180, 3 clicks, that is 270, counterclockwise. So we're going to end up right here. So our star is going to end up on which side? Our star is on the right side. Let's put a little note. So right side, what's the rule for right side? Look at the front of your foldable. Right side, I need to do a switcheroo and then negate the right. So let's write that down. I'm going to do a switch and then negate the right. Okay, so that's my plan. Now I need to get all these points because remember, every single point has to move. So we need A, B, C, and D. Okay, so here's our graph. 0, 0 is right here, and it's counting by, would be -1, -2, -3, -4. Okay, so let's find the coordinates of A, B, C, and D, because then we're going to switch them and negate the right. Okay, so point A starts at 0. We run before we jump. We dribble before we jump. Shoot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 backwards. So -5, comma, and we don't go up and down at all. So 5, -5, 0 is my first point. B is -1, 2, 3, -3 backwards, and then 1, 2 up. So that's a +2. Okay, C is right down here. So that means I'm going to go -1, backwards 1, and then down 1, 2, 3. Down 3. Remember, you can count bubbles. I just don't want to write all over my graph with this marker. Down 3. So if you're going to count bubbles, and get a pencil. So if I'm going to do D, remember, you're going to go bubbles backwards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bubbles backwards. So that's -5. And then 1, 2, 3 bubbles down. So that is -3. Okay, so here are my 4 points of this right here is my pre-image, right? Yeah, pre-image is this guy right here. He's my pre, right? Okay, and now I'm going to do my switch and negate the right to get my primes. Okay, so that means my A prime. My first thing I'm going to do is switch. Switch means trade places. Like this guy in this seat's going to get in this seat. They're trading seats. So I'm going to trade places first. 0, -5. I traded places. Actually, I'm going to trade places of everybody. Let's do all the trade places. Remember, we call these as our primes. Okay, what happens when I trade places for B? I get a 2 first and -3 seconds. Trade places as a -3 and a -1. Trade places. I'm going to get a -3 and a -5. So that's me just trading places. So I did my switch. Now I'm going to get a different color, and then I'm going to negate the right. So I'm going to go through this. I'm going to take the term on the right and change his sign. So if I change the sign of this -5, I get +5, because this is the guy on the right. If I change the sign of this -3, +3. If I change the sign of this -1, +1. If I change the sign of this -5, +5. So it just worked out that those all just changed to positives. That won't always be true, because sometimes you might have a positive number and then it would be changing to negatives, right? Okay, so these are my new points. I have pulled the switcheroonie, and then I have negated the right. Now I need to find all of these on the graph. It says to draw the image, so I need to. Okay, I'm going to do it in this green. Okay, 0, 5. That means I might travel to the right 0, just up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is going to be my A prime. B is 2, 3. So that means to the right 2 and up 3. 1, 2, 3. Boom. That is going to be my B prime. My C here, -3, 1. So that means I'm going to go backwards 3. 1, 2, 3, and up 1. That puts me right there. That is my C prime. And my D is at -3, +5. So backwards 3. 1, 2, 3, and up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's going to be up here. That is my D prime. Okay, do my points look okay? Now let's make our shape, because after we make the shape, we can see if he looks like he is a rigid motion, staying congruent, same size, same shape, same angles. Okay, let's connect this guy, and this guy, and this guy. Yep, he looks pretty good to me. Now remember, you could take your patty paper and check this, right? So I could have traced my XY axis and my original picture. Try not to be too sloppy when you trace, because then it's going to be hard. Okay, so if I trace my X, see how I got just my axis and my original figure here? Now, if it's around the origin, that means I'm going to have to hold it at the origin, right? and I need 270 counterclockwise. So that means this top is going to go backwards 1, 2, 3 clicks. So here I am. I'm going to spin it. That's backwards 1 click, 2 clicks, and 3 clicks. Look at that. So you see how he matches underneath there where I was? So obviously I checked with my patty paper. So I did my check with patty paper. And it looks beautiful. All right, let's go to number 4. Okay, what are the coordinates of A prime? Oh wait, did I even answer the question over here? Then determine the image of, so we were looking for B prime. So the only thing we actually could have had to answer was B prime is 2, positive 3. So this was actually the only answer. Now we drew the whole thing because it did ask for the image, so we did the whole thing. But this was the final answer. It says, then determine the image of point B. Okay, that's why we should read it and underline. Okay, what are the coordinates of A prime? So I am looking for A prime after ABC is rotated 180 about the origin. Okay, so like we started before, we're going to have to get all the coordinates first. So let's get all the coordinates of our points. All right, so B. Where do we want to put this? Because we're going to have to do some other stuff. I'm going to put it along the side here, okay? Just kind of right small. B is at, let's do A, B, C, because we're going to have to do those. And then we're going to have to do some probably switching around and doing stuff. So point B is at 5, 1. Okay, so point B is 5, 1. Oopsie. That's a 5, 1. Sorry, my thing just moved. I'm going to scribble this out and put a 1. Okay. Point A is right here. Point A is at 0, 1. Point A is at 0, 1. I don't go right nor left any. I just go up 1. Point C is at 0, 4. Okay. So what do I need to do here? I need to rotate 180 degrees. Okay, so let's, I'm going around the origin. Let's go ahead and make my little Ferris wheel. And I'm starting at the top, right? So if I start at the top of my Ferris wheel and go 180 degrees, doesn't matter which way I go, where are you going to end up? Right down here. So that means I'm going to be ending up at the bottom, right? Now what's the rule for the bottom? Well, look at your rules here. Landing on the bottom, just negate both. So I don't do any switcheroony. I just negate both. So that means I'm going to put a note for myself. Okay, negate both. That means that I got to change the sign of both. Okay, so I'm going to put it right underneath here. And I'm going to call this my A prime, my B prime, and my C prime. So I don't need to switch any of these, right? All I need to do is change the sign, change the sign. Now what happens when you change the sign of 0? Impossible. He still stays 0. There's no such thing as negative 0. What happens when I change the sign of 1? I get negative 1. Okay. For B, change the sign, change the sign. So 5, change the sign, negative 5. 1, change the sign, negative 1. Point C. 0, change the sign, no such thing. Keep it 0. Change the sign of 4 is negative 4. Okay, let's go ahead and put these points on our graph now. See where they are. So 0, 1. That means I'm going to go over 0 and down 1. So that's right here. So this is my new A prime. B, negative 5, negative 1. So that means back 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and down 1. That puts me down here. That's my B prime. C, I've got 0, negative 4. So I go across, nothing, dribble 0, and just shoot negative 4. So that's down 1, 2, 3, 4. and that is my C prime. I'm going to go ahead and make my shape. Okay, it should be a rigid motion, so he should look like he is the same size and shape. And he should look like, if I were to trace him, if I were to trace this right here and spin it 180 degrees, halfway around, would it land on this point? It sure would. So you can go ahead and trace and check if you'd like to, but it works out fine. Okay, what is A prime? So to answer the question, we would say that A prime is 0, -1. And that is the answer to the question, the coordinates of A prime. Boom. Okay, there is a next part to this one. It says triangle A prime, B prime, C prime. That's the orange guy. See how he's color-coded? That's the orange guy. If that orange guy is rotated 90 degrees clockwise, about point A. We're going to need a fake axis, aren't we? About point A. What are the coordinates of the image of point C? So we want to know basically what C, the image of C. So what is the image of C? What would we call the image of C? That would be the one after. So it's the one after this. The one after that is going to be C double prime. So really they're asking for C double prime, right? That's the one they want. Okay, so let's see if we can do this. So remember, there's a couple ways to do this. We can make a fake axis. This picture is so big, I think it might be easier just to trace it, do a fake axis, and spin. And then when we do this one over here, we're going to renumber using our fake axis and do the whole shebang. Okie dokie? So let's go ahead and trace. Okay. So remember, I'm going to be rotating this orange one around point A. So basically, my fake axis is going to be at point A. So let's get a fake axis at A. All right, you see my fake axis at A? It's going to be blue. Okay, that means I'm not going to look at this black axis anymore. I'm only going to be looking at this fake blue axis now. Okay, so let's see if we can trace this. Let me get this green out. Okay, so here's my fake axis. I switch to green. That's my fake axis. And now I'm going to make my shape. So this is my A prime. My C prime is down here. And my B prime is over here. I'm going to make my triangle. Okay. Wait a minute. Oh yeah, we are rotating on A. Okay, so that means I thought for a minute I was rotating at C, but I am holding down at point A. So point A is my place I'm going to stab. Okay, and I'm going to go 90 degrees clockwise. So that means I'm going to stab at A 90 degrees clockwise. That means I'm just going to spin one click. Boom. You see where he's going to end up? He's going to end up right there. And I'm just going to cheat and use my paper. So my A double prime is going to stay in the same spot. So my A double prime, I'm going to get pink now. This is going to be my A double prime is staying in the same spot. My C prime is coming over here. So I'm going to go under my paper. That's right here. That is my C double prime, which is actually what they're asking me, right? And then up at the top is going to be my new B double prime. So here is going to be my B double prime. That means my shape is going to look like this. Okay, so this is my pink triangle right here. That is my final shape. And this was my orange triangle down here. Okay, and then I have my original gray triangle. Okay, so let's go back to answer our question. It says, what are the coordinates of point C, the image of C. So that is going to be C double prime. So my C double prime, which is also known as my image of C prime, is going to be at this point down here. What are the coordinates of this guy down here? Oh, wait, I'm doing this pink guy. Never mind. This pink guy right here, that is negative 1, 2, 3, and negative 1. So this point is at negative 3, comma, negative 1. So my image is going to be of C double prime. It's going to be negative 3, comma, negative 1. Okay, last one here. It says, what are the coordinates of D prime after the quadrilateral, so this is a four-sided figure, four-sided polygon, which we have right here, boom, 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 is rotated 90 degrees counterclockwise about the point C. That means I need to rotate around the point C. Okay, so I'm going to do this with patty paper first, and then we can do it with real fake axis after, because fake axis would require numbering. The problem is this graph is so small to do this on. Okay, so point C, that means I need a fake axis at C. Fake axis at C. Okay? So here's my C. Let me make a fake blue axis. Boom, boom. And this is small, so you got to be super neat. Okay, I made my fake blue axis right here at C. Now I'm going to go 90 counterclockwise. Okay, so let me trace this guy. I don't really care about my real axis anymore. I'm only going to worry about my fake axis, because that's where I'm spinning. So here are my points. I'm going to try to be as accurate as I can. This picture is so tiny. Okay, and I'm going to make my axis in pink. What's that? Should have made my shape in pink and my axis in blue, so it stayed the same. Boom. I think I'm going to do that. Boom. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We are going to go 90 counterclockwise. So that's basically holding it down at my, where I'm spinning it. I'm going to go 90 counterclockwise. So that means not the way of the clock, 90 degrees. So that means this left axis has to come down to the bottom. So spin it so it goes 90 counterclockwise. Boom. And where's he going to end up? He's going to end up down here, right? So instead of coming out this way, he's going to be coming down this way. Okie dokie. So let's try to get our points. So this C is going to stay in the exact same spot because that's where we spun him, right? Now sometimes you can just count stuff. So from the C, do you see how it went 1, 2, 1, 2, 3? So this is down 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So that's going to be here. I'm trying to do this. And then okay, so this is going to be my D prime, my A prime, and my B prime. Let's see if this matches up. I'm going to draw him in pencil, and then spin it and see if I got my points in the right spot. Okay, let's see. So that was lined up right there. I think he looks good, doesn't he, underneath there? I think I got all my points in the right spot. Okie dokie. Okay, it says, translate the rotated image using a vector of 6, 3. Oh, do we need anything? What are the coordinates of D? So the only one we needed to say where it was this D prime. So where's D prime at? Over here. Looks like it's over 1 and down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's over 1 and down 7. So that is going to be 1 comma negative 7. It's going to be easier if you have your paper and you could do that. Now remember, you can also make a fake axis and number all your points, which I'm going to show some of you more of that on a bigger graph, because this graph is so tiny that I can't really show it on this well. But let's go ahead and let's do this next part. Translate. So this is not a rotation. This is a translation. So this is going to be a slide. So we want to slide the image using this vector. Now remember, the first letter of the vector is going to tell us which way to go, left and right. And I'm sorry, the first number. The second number is going to tell us up and down. Okay, so that means we're going to go positive 4. So this is going to be 4 right. And this is 3. It's positive. So it's going to be 3 up. That means we need to take all of these pencil A prime, B prime, C prime, D prime. We're going to move them 4 right and 3 up. Okay, so let's take this first C. Let's go 4 right, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 3 up. 1, 2, 3. So this is going to be my C double prime. D, I'm going to move him 4 right. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 3 up. 1, 2, 3. That's going to be right there. That's going to be my D double prime. This A, I need to move him 4 right. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 3 up. 1, 2, 3. That's going to be my A double prime. And my B, I'm going to move him 4 right. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 3 up. 1, 2, 3. It's going to put me right there. That's going to be my B double prime. So my final shape is right here. Okay, and we don't have to do anything with that. We just had to move it. Okie dokie. Can you see that? You guys really can't see this one down here. Let me trace this one better. I'm going to do this one in green. Okay. Do you see all 3 of them now? Okay. Make sure your foldable gets all glued in.